Maysara was sent not only as a companion of the salesman, but also as an observer of the owner of the business, of Khadijah. He was told, you have to keep an eye. I want to hear stories. I want to see what person he is. The Prophet ﷺ also, because he's a genius, he does actually sell all of the goods, and he actually sells them, subhanAllah, he sells them at the dollar amount, like the profit he makes, the way he leverages the deals, he actually makes the profit the dollar amount that Khadijah promised him. She was willing to pay him at a loss. You sell this, I'll pay you double. He actually sold it for double, showed up and said, there's no need for you to lose anything, right? So she's very impressed. He comes back. She asks the whole story. He tells how he sold. He says, this is, again, just being honest, he told the whole story. After he comes back and he tells the story of his expedition, she calls Maysara in. Maysara says, look, I noticed a few things. The first thing is, I noticed that this man has impeccable character. He's truthful, just like they say. He doesn't lie. The second thing I noticed is that there was always this cloud above us, right? Which again, seemed interesting given that we're in a desert. The third thing he said is that I noticed something and I heard that there were these monks and these religious people in Syria that heard and witnessed something that occurred. And because that moment occurred, they took an oath that this person is a prophet, that he's the coming messenger. So Khadijah asks, like, what is it? And Maysara says, well, he was told in a moment of dispute to take an oath on two of the gods, Allat and Uzza, and he didn't do it. And in fact, he said, not only will I not do it, I don't even acknowledge them as God. And subhanAllah, there's a narration that Khadijah then goes back to in her mind when there was in Mecca a rabbi that was visiting who was telling the women of Mecca that the prophet is coming. The prophet is coming. And all of you who are single, you might be his wife. And some of the women in Mecca, they were like, this guy's a freaking joker. Like, what are you talking about? To the point where the narration, she said, they started to throw rocks at him. Like, get out of here. And she said, I held myself because I thought maybe I will be. Now, what's interesting about Sayyidah Khadijah radiallahu anha is that she was previously married not once but twice. She was widowed. And she actually had children from those previous marriages, right? So if you think about all of these things put together, this is a very interesting puzzle that's coming together. But the one piece, right, the glue that's holding all these puzzle pieces together is the fact that the Prophet ﷺ had this reputation to begin with. She would never have been interested in who he was, ﷺ, unless he had this reputation. He would have never had the chance. Are you ready for this? He would have never had the chance to prove who he was if he didn't have this reputation. We knew who he was. He knew who he was. Everyone knows who he was. But because he had this reputation and she heard about it, she said, what? I'm going to take a chance on that guy. And when she did, all these mini miracles appeared that put everything in perspective for her and made it make sense for her, okay?